This morning, let's explore calming the minds of the people, a reference to the third chapter of the Tao Te Ching. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as young Luke Skywalker upon Dagobah under the guidance of Yoda, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this morning's practice you have questions about meditation or philosophy or even chanting, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in the chat window on the right-hand side of your screen. Unless, of course, you're watching a replay, then you'll want to type your questions in the comment area below the video. So let's turn to the third chapter of the Tao Te Ching. Not exalting the worthy prevents people from fighting. Not cherishing precious objects keeps people from stealing. Not displaying possessions calms the minds of the people. The price of exalting, cherishing, and displaying seems to be fighting, stealing, and turmoil. The price of a clever young lifestyle sacrifices peace upon the altar of pettiness. One of the most famous of Hitler's many missteps was out of his insecurity of being unimportant, he would pit his senior staff against each other. So he would take what limited creative resources they had and squander it in pettiness rather than meeting the needs of the nation. That is not an uncommon blunder, but a devastating one nonetheless. We see that often in corporate America. Thus governing the way of the wise, empties the mind, fills the stomach. It would seem that undermining the basic needs of the populace stimulates their predatory cunning, as is explored quite skillfully in Peter Joseph's book, The New Human Rights Movement. Let's continue. Whereas meeting these needs has a teaming effect, increasing their cooperative nature. So let me do a quick edit here. It just spotted. Let's see, that's page 5. Let's go over here real quick. There we go. Control G, page 5. Whoopsie. Okay. There we go. So, for the sake of future edits, it might be wise to quickly adjust OBS. Bear with me. Thank you for your patience, and hopefully I'm back. Softens the ambition, strengthens the character, keeps people innocent and content in the cunning, afraid to act. So I'd like to explore this a little bit further before I see if I'm... Yes. Act without acting and nothing is out of place. We return to the theme of this classic of the beneficial way. The way to set space for the fulfillment of needs is for our choices, utterances, and deeds to habitually flow from a place of centered spontaneity. But I'd like to go back a page. Softens the character, softens the ambition, strengthens the character, keeps people innocent and content and the cunning afraid to act. So what I'd like to do right now is refer to an image of the human brain. And for those of you on the Clock app, if you wish to digitally look over my shoulder and share my desktop with me, poke around in the link tree in my profile, and soon you'll be wallowing in visual aids. So consider, if you will, this cross-section of the human brain, and let us liken it to a house. In the basement, we have our predatory, most basic survival drives, often described as shoving and reaching and clinging and competing. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. In the living room of the cross section of our brain is a set of tissues known as the anterior cingulate gyrus. It functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy. Once again, as discussed in the New Human Rights Movement, when we are subjected to scarcity and any other form of peril, we revert back to our basal ganglia, our basement of our brain. When we are in a state of safety, we tend to ascend to the living room of our brain, the empathy center. So, both literally and metaphorically, the leader's job is to make sure at least people's fundamental needs are met. The more people live in peril, the more they will act in a manner as their worst selves. And this is what we see time and again in fascism. Not only does it drive the arrival of fascism, but an effect of fascism is the dehumanization of the ruling class, just as we saw historically in Nazi Germany, or in the certain times in China after the communist revolution there. Communist in quotes, because it really wasn't communism. It was just fascism with communist terminology. You know, if you and me are going for a walk around the block and we happen upon a pile of doggy doo, just because one of us might take out a 3x5 card and write the word roses on it and gingerly place the card upon the mound of doggy doo doesn't change the nature of the doggy doo. Just using communist labels doesn't make something communist. So, getting back to human behavior, when humans experience peril, they are wired to drop down into their basement, their basal ganglia, be ruled by fear and aggression and ruthlessness and short-sightedness. Which is why great luminaries have always explored the possibility of a post-scarcity society where people are impelled by love rather than compelled by fear. And let's return to our primary text. I think I finished this morning's commentary in all actuality. Going to verify that toot sweet. Fabulous. Okay. Every 12 hours, I broadcast a live meditation class without any ads. And by the way, you really will get much more out of it if you watch it, not only auditorially, not only listen to it auditorially, but watch it visually on the other app whose link is found in my personal profile. With your help, this channel could support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If this speaks to you and you'd like to help out, you're welcome, even if you can only give the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month. Simply use your smartphone's camera to capture this QR code on the screen, or merely scroll down and click one of the donation links in the description area below the video. To my friends on the Clock app, see the link tree. And now let's turn our attention to this morning's primary practice. The practice text, or sadhana, I like to describe as easy Tao. Let's begin with a splash of what I like to refer to as enlightened fitness. I wish I could say I was clever enough to have coined that phrase, but it was actually coined by one of my students, a wonderful psychologist living on the East Coast-ish. So quick like a bunny, I'm going to go to Jumbo Cam and invite you to explore the option of joining me in geriatric step-back squat thrusts. Once again, this is optional. Need to negotiate with my lower back for a second. Well, that's invigorating. Let us perform the chant of universal love. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that each may be spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. Let us chant 2 verses from the 15th chapter of the Tao Te Ching pertaining to centeredness. Yet like muddy water, when still they, the masters, become clear. And now a passage pertaining to spontaneity. When in quietude they gradually are stirred by centered spontaneity into action. Okay, so let's move over to this morning's guided meditation. It's rather simple. We're going to do our very best to sit with the plane of our face perpendicular to the floor. Our spine as erect as we can. And yes, that is a titillating choice of words, is it not? It's okay to invite a subtle Mona Lisa smile to play across your mouth, cheeks, and the corners of your eyes. And fold your hands in your lap and allow your breathing to be centered in your lower abdomen. This will support your posture and your neurology and your breathing. This will make the meditation, this will minimize the unpleasantries of posture. Give yourself, when you feel pain in your joints, not your muscles, but your joints, give yourself permission to make adjustments to your posture. Better to look aesthetically displeasing than injure your joints and court arthritis. Please don't make the mistakes I did in the ignorance of my youth. What is the essence of mindfulness? To mentally recite, notice this as we breathe in. What is the essence of meditation? To mentally recite, relaxing as we breathe out. Doing so merely aligns our will with our factory installed wiring. For every complex vertebrate on this planet is wired to access their sympathetic nervous system during each inhalation, thereby noticing vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and spontaneously. And each of us is wired to access our parasympathetic nervous system during each exhalation, whereby we physically relax and mentally release. And so in meditation, we're not imposing our will upon our body and brain, but rather harmonizing our mind with the facets of our central nervous system that evolved to keep us happy and well-adjusted. Our autonomic nervous system can be used as a sort of factory-installed therapist. It's 25 minutes after the hour. Let's meditate. By the way, using a reverse grip during step-back squat thrusts makes it easier to maintain a therapeutic posture. What are some of the things we could notice? We could notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. We could notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, and scents, and the like. If you are curious as to whether or not you're maintaining a therapeutic posture throughout the day, in the evening, gingerly probe the back of your neck with your fingertips. If you feel what seems like a misalignment in your vertebrae, that is from allowing your spine to look rather like a candy cane, looking down far too much. That's easily remedied. Just place the tips of your fingers over the misalignment in your cervical spine, your neck, and perform this meditation, and you'll feel millimeter by millimeter your spine righting itself, which is pretty spooky. Give yourself a week to learn how to do this. It's easiest to, your body wants to sit up tall and breathe from your gut and smile automatically with each inhalation. You don't have to force it, but you can allow it. Some people describe this both in the 7-point posture of Varochana. If it's comfortable for you to sit in the full lotus position for 60 minutes, knock yourself out. But there's nothing inherently spiritual about one leg position versus another. So give yourself permission to cycle through various sitting postures to meet your ever-changing physical needs. If something unpleasant comes up, and it will, do not simply tell yourself a story about it. Do not try to hide from it. Really get into the mental recitation of notice this as you breathe in, relaxing as you breathe out. And doing so, unpleasant experiences will fuel your mindfulness and your meditation. Relaxing isn't shoving our experience away, it's making peace with our experience by exploring how our experience and all its facets could feel as non-graspable as the infinite azure sky during each exhalation. That is not a great that is not a great metaphysical truth, but it helps us to slice through the tyranny of the instinctual drives roaming the basement of our mind, of our brain. That's very kind. The tattooed introvert wished me well, and right back at you. Thank you very much. There are so many individuals, regardless of gender, who really sincerely believe they can fuck someone into a state of mental health. Could that be more than just hubris? Could it be that when our partner has an orgasm, they seem to experience a brief neurological reset, where their maladaptive defense mechanisms seem to go into stasis, and a younger, more vulnerable, more healthy facet of their central nervous system expresses itself, sometimes just momentarily. But as the minutes elapse after orgasm, the defense mechanisms, old and often maladaptive, reassert themselves. It would be lovely if we could orgasm our partners into a state of optimal mental health, but that is seldom the case. What some psychics, what some energy sensitives have noticed is that healthy meditation can have a similar effect, one that lasts much longer than its naked counterpart. One of the nice things about effective meditation is that it can help us to cut through our own malarkey. Sometimes we will attribute lofty motivations to the most selfish and cruel of actions. And it can be useful to come face to face with what's really going on in our heart, in our guts. Even though your spine is erect and the plane of your face is perpendicular to the floor, your eyes can gaze down at approximately a 45-degree angle. There are some individuals who pose as teachers, but who really don't know the teachings. And so sometimes they will hide this fact through superstition, by speaking cryptically, or telling you need more faith, or claiming that there is a silent transmission going on. But when one reads the last words attributed to the Buddha, he claimed that he had spent his teaching career teaching with an outstretched arm and an open hand, keeping no secrets. The Buddha was the opposite of elitism. He was egalitarian, offering women's liberation in a time of extreme misogyny. So if your teacher acts elitist or deceitful, find a new teacher. In the 28th chapter of the Tao Te Ching, we read that although it's great to be aware of yang tendencies, it's imperative to walk the path of yin. That is a sentiment that is repeated several times in the 81 songs of the Tao Te Ching. So it's okay to be aware of our own fearful, controlling, rigid tendencies, but we get to transcend them. We get to let go of them. We get to wash them off our neck and shoulders as if we were standing in a warm shower at the end of a long, cold day, simply through the power of meditating. How can we best be sensitive to the needs of others when each of us is far less than omniscient? By giving others the benefit of the doubt.